Well guys, welcome back. Out here in the wood yard today. It's quite warm out considering we're well into fall now. Even though it's warm out during the day, it's dropping down right to freezing at night. But with that in mind, the freezing temperatures, that sort of kickstarts my wood splitting mentality, my wood splitting mind. And I'm out here doing just that today. I've got my Eastonmade Ultra behind me. This thing is brand new. Hasn't had a lot of hours put on it yet. And if you've seen my other videos, you would have seen me doing a little bit of splitting, but not that much. I'm gonna have to learn the ropes with this thing. Some of you have helped me along the way, so I appreciate that. This has a very, very fast cycle time if you're not familiar. This has a 4-second cycle time, and it also has the option for the 4-way wedge, fully adjustable, and then the single wedge down here. Many of you in my previous videos have mentioned that when the wood gets really knotty, take off the 4-way wedge, run the single wedge. It allows you to get a bit better splitting. I may end up doing that here today, or I may just take the knotty wood, set it off to the side, switch all at once to the single wedge and split all that knotty stuff at once. Overall process, I'm going to fire up the chainsaw, cut up some of this cherry maple and birch over there. Then we'll bring it over here. Going to be using one of my favorite tools, this right here, my pickaroon, and that's what's going to save me from having to do a lot of bending over. Going to use that to pick up the wood, drop it up here onto the deck, and split it, and then I'll throw it into the IBC cages. The reason I use the IBC cages, if you haven't been here before, is so that I can limit the number of times I handle firewood. Now, I like getting out and doing exercise, but if you guys can imagine, if I'm stacking like cords upon cords upon cords of wood, it gets old real quick. IBC cages are great for me. I've got a tractor. The tractor will come up, pick the IBC cages up, and I've got tons of space to set it out in order to dry in the warmer seasons. Once it's dry, like some of this stuff's been out here for over a year, I'll be taking it up to where I need it, up to the house, and then I'll burn it for heat. So that's the whole process for today. We'll fire up the chainsaw. Going to probably get a little sweat on the brow to get warmed up and limber, and then we'll be back over here at the wood splitter. And this is probably the most fun you're going to have here, if you're into firewood, that is. So here we go. lot of bees flying around. I don't know if there's actually a bee's nest in there. Actual bees, so I'm not too concerned. Oh, there's another one. Actually, sorry, that's a wasp. Wow, look at them all. See them all down there? Is this common, guys? I don't know. These when wasps come out when the wood gets cut or something. I just noticed them floating around, and then one, yeah, there's got to be like 10 right there. I'm a bit concerned because we know what's happened with these guys before. What do we do? Not get stung, that's what we do. You guys see them all? I don't know, I think it's in that tree there. I don't know what's going on. I waited a little bit here and they're still here, so I think we're just gonna call it good and keep cutting. Hope for the best. You guys see them down here? Right down there. I don't know. It looks like they're really interested in the fresh cut wood. Maybe some of you guys know more about that than I do, but I'm gonna keep cutting and hope that they're not interested in me and more interested in whatever it is they're doing. So back to it. Well, guys, we got her cut, and holy gosh. Well, I was about to say we didn't get stung yet, and I hope that's going to stay like that. Anyways, the wasps here, they're pretty fierce, but they're not touching me, which is a good thing. I think they're after the fresh sawn wood chips. Maybe there's something in there they like. Maybe it's sweet, I don't know. Really good that I got all this cut. Definitely a workout as compared to using the wood splitter here. The wood splitter's a breeze. It does all the work. All I really have to do is get it onto the table and then toss her in there, and the rest history. As I was cutting there, you probably saw some of the wood was more dense than others. The cherry, the maple, that went through like butter. Once I got to the bigger diameter birch, struggled just a little bit. I think it comes down to, thought I saw a bee. I think it comes down to the wood is so wet, it really wants to grab the saw. So if you dig it in real deep, it's really holding the bar. And so I had to start the cut. Once it started getting firm, I pulled back a bit and then cut her that way. Also not ideal. I had a few instances where I dug the blade into the dirt, or dug the bar into the dirt. I usually like to use a cant hook and roll the log after I cut partway through and then finish the cut, just to avoid that. Anyways, let's get down to it. I'm looking forward to this. Let's fire up here, and it should start up without issue. Let me remember here. So choke is on, gas is on, and that should be it. Better give her a decent pull. I barely pulled that thing. And that's to be expected. Fired right up. We'll just let that thing warm up a little bit and give her a go. All right, guys, we just took a bit of a break here because I want to tell you about what I'm noticing with this Eastonmade Ultra. Now, the easiest way I can describe this, compared with like a big box store brand of wood splitter, which is what I also have, which I've used up to this point, the easiest way I can describe it is like this. My big box store splitter is like a hot dog, or as I like to call it, a tube steak. You go and buy that from any generic concession stand or barbecue place, whatever. The person gives you the hot dog, it tastes okay, you know, you paid for it, it fills the void, you're no longer hungry, at least for a little while, and you walk away somewhat satisfied. Fast forward to this guy right here, the Eastonmade Ultra. Forget the hot dog, forget the tube steak. This is like you were invited to a five-star restaurant. You get to the restaurant, you sit down, they put out the nice tablecloth, they may come around and lay the, what do you call it, lay the serviette or the napkin right across your lap, and maybe they give you a little bit of water to wash your hands in, and dressed nicely, some nice background music, maybe someone's playing a piano over in the corner. They come around and they ask you, what do you want on your prime rib or your filet mignon? And you think about it, and you're used to tube steaks, and you finally come up with something. They grill it to perfection, they bring it out to you, and it's the absolute best steak, prime rib, filet mignon, whatever you want, that you've ever had. That's like this. This is like going from a tube steak to filet mignon, or in my case, my favorite, prime rib. I am looking forward to prime rib from here on out. I'm definitely going to get it because this thing is a blast. Guys, in the meantime, if you are interested in seeing some other wood splitting videos, be sure to check out my playlist with this, and also check out my playlist with my old wood splitter. You'll see exactly what I mean between filet mignon, prime rib, and tube steaks. One last thing. Why is this prime rib? Well, some things I'm noticing that my old splitter didn't do. This, the pusher, it actually contacts the wedge, so it actually finishes the split. Some of that wood you guys saw me splitting, I think it's elm, it's very stringy. If the pusher doesn't contact the wedge here, sometimes you're left with a little bit of stringy material that's connecting two splits, two pieces, and you're fighting with it to get it apart. And so having the split finish means that no matter what happens, you're always left with separate pieces, and that's very, very handy. Some other things I'm noticing here, the height. This height is perfect. On my other splitter, it was maybe a few inches lower, so I didn't notice at the time, but I was actually bending over a little more, and that could, in the long term, cause a bit of fatigue. You know, I get a bit of back, neck pain. So having this at this height, very, very handy. The width of this right here is very handy as well. You saw me splitting a few times, and the wood like rolled onto its side on both sides. What was nice is it didn't roll off onto the ground. These guys, these little lip here, holds it on here. And what that does is it allows me to leave the split there, grab the other one, split it again, and then come back and grab this one and split it. Nothing worse with a big piece. You have pieces that fall off the side, then you got to walk around and pick them up to finish the split. Just adds to your time and, well, adds to your effort. So the height, the width, that little lip, beautiful thing. And one other thing over here I noticed especially was the easy access from both sides. Because the access is the exact same on both sides of the splitter, I think what this is going to be good for is when I have more than one person out here, maybe a helper or my dad comes out and gives me a hand, I can load wood from one side and he can stand and split it on the other side. Alternatively, now I'm left-handed, so I like to use my left hand on the lever up here. But if you're right-handed, you could easily just stand on this side of the splitter and use your right hand. So I find that quite nice. And you guys saw me change this out, change the single wedge out. It was nice because I could access this side of the splitter to do that. I wanted to do that because I was able to lean over and use my left arm, which is my dominant arm, because let's face it, the wedge there isn't light. So for those of you who recommended to me to use the single wedge for the big knotty wood, thank you very much for that. It definitely was an improvement. I did try a few times using the four-way wedge, and it definitely split it, but I think the single wedge is just a bit more efficient for that type of thing. Anyways, I'm gonna call it good at that. Thank you guys for joining me here today. If you're interested in seeing more of this content, as I said, check out the playlist. In the meantime, give this video the old like-a-roo. Make sure you subscribe, and just a little advisory for you guys. I have put out some merch in my YouTube store. No pressure whatsoever, but if you guys are interested, check that out in the store, and I appreciate all the support up till this point. Guys, you all take care out there. Split some wood. and I'll see you next time.